Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1.
Two.
Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 16.
Jai.
Shushusho Shaddatanasya Vasudeva Kataruchihi Syan Mahatsevaya Viprav Purniyatirtha Nishevarnat. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Translation: O twice-born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely free from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. Jai. Okay. Srila Prabhupada's purport. The conditioned life of a living being is caused by his revolting against the Lord. There are men called Deva, or godly living beings, and there are men called Asuras, or demons, who are against the authority of the Supreme Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, 16th chapter, vivid description of the Asuras is given, in which it is said that the Asuras are put into lower and lower states of ignorance, life after life, and so sink to the lower animal forms, and have no information of the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead. These Asuras are gradually rectified to God consciousness by the mercy of the Lord's liberated servitors in different countries according to the supreme will. Such devotees of God are very confidential associates of the Lord, and when they come to save human society from the dangers of godlessness, they are known as the powerful incarnations of the Lord, as sons of the Lord, as servants of the Lord, or as associates of the Lord. But none of them falsely claim to be God themselves. This is a blasphemy declared by the Asuras, and the demoniac followers of such Asuras also accept pretenders as God or as incarnation. In the revealed scriptures, there is definite information of the incarnation of God. No one should be accepted as God or an incarnation of God unless he is confirmed by the revealed scriptures. The servants of God are to be respected as God by the devotees who actually want to go back to Godhead. Such servants of God are called Mahatmas or Tirthas, and they preach according to particular time and place. The servants of God urge people to become devotees of the Lord. They never tolerate being called God. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was God himself according to the indication of the revealed scriptures, but he played the part of a devotee. People who knew him to be God addressed him as God, but he used to block his ears with his hands and chant the name of Lord Vishnu. He strongly protested against being called God, although undoubtedly he was God himself. The Lord behaves so to warn us against unscrupulous men who take pleasure in being addressed as God. The servants of God come to propagate God consciousness, and intelligent people should cooperate with them in every respect. By serving the servant of God, one can please God more than by directly serving the Lord. The Lord is more pleased when he sees that his servants are being properly respected, because such servants risk everything for the service of the Lord and so are very dear to the Lord. The Lord declares in the Bhagavad Gita 1869 that no one is dearer to him than one who risks everything to preach his glory. By serving the servants of the Lord, one gradually gets the quality of such servants, and thus one becomes qualified to hear the glories of God. The eagerness to hear about God is the first qualification of a devotee eligible for entering the kingdom of God. Srila Prabhupada. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Vishnupada Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Shute Bhaktivedanta Swanam Nitinamine. Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Okay. Amazing verse. So we've heard much about the power of hearing. Therefore, with single pointed attention, one should always hear, chant, remember, and worship the Lord. Also, earlier in this chapter, and it's going to come back again, that this process of hearing is so fundamental and central. And yet, in a way, there's something that comes before hearing, which is serving the devotees. Because as this verse points out, service to devotees, particularly those devotees who are advanced, or the more advanced, the more this is true, the more we serve such devotees, the more we develop a taste to hear and the capacity to hear. So one should always hear as much as one can, according to one's capacity. And whether or not one is intentionally or unintentionally done any service for devotees, one should hear and chant Hare Krishna and hear the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and so forth. And as one quickly realizes when they take to a practice, especially a daily practice, is that we have at any given stage we have a certain capacity for hearing. We have a certain taste, right? As Jiva Goswami points out in the Sandarbhas, this is a spiritual thing, that one's taste for Krishna Katha is an index of one's Krishna consciousness. One's ability to sit still and hear the holy name is an index of one's Krishna consciousness. One's taste for hearing the Shastra is an index for their Krishna consciousness, because this is directly Krishna. And even accounting for, the way in which day to day the mind is slightly different always, we can get a sense of our general level of advancement in Krishna consciousness by our general capacity to hear and chant with attention and taste. Vasudeva Kata Ruchihi. Ruchi means taste, affinity. And it's also one of the stages of the development of bhakti. After Adoshata Tata Sadhu Sangha Bhajana Kriya, Nartanirvati Satato Nishta Ruchi Stataha, Nishta Ruchi. So you have some faith, Shraddha. And you sadhu sangha, have some association with devotees. Ideally, you serve devotees, especially those who are more advanced than you. Then you take up a daily practice, and the heart becomes purified of lower things, and you come to nishta, steadiness, and then there's some ruchi. This ruchi actually, because all the stages really exist, they kind of coexist at once to some degree. Ruchi is in development always. We're developing our taste, even from the very beginning. And the fastest way to do that is to do service to devotees, especially those who are Mahatma, those who are great souls. The more advanced the devotee is, the more advancement you make from serving them. And so, side by side with this principle of it's centrally and always important to hear and chant, is that actually we're not independent in our capacity, the quality of our hearing and chanting. And this is something we can, I think, realize when we start sitting down and trying to chant Hare Krishna with attention, or trying to read Shastra, is that I can chant as much as I can chant, and I have a certain level of taste. When I was a brahmachari, and then again also last year, I would go to Vrindavan for Kartik, to Govardhan Hill, because my guru and other very advanced devotees would congregate, and he would lead this reading every day for the month of Kartik, different shastras, often the Bhagavatam, sometimes Chaitanya Charitamrita, Brihad Bhagavatamrita, different things. Usually, more often than not, Bhagavatam. And we would hear out loud for 5 or 6 hours every day, and a little bit of kirtan before and after, and a little bit of question answer reflection, but a lot of reading. 5 or 6 hours of Shastra every day. That's on top of our morning program with, a Bhagavatam class and 16 rounds of japa, and I was able to perform that with, well, I wouldn't say full attention, but significantly present attention, even when I was an uninitiated devotee, 2013, 2.5 years into chanting 16 rounds. And as soon as the month ended, or as soon as he left, came right back down to my own level. Because it's the power of that association, right? So there's a way in which, even when we're chanting Hare Krishna, the reflection we had before japa is that I'm fully dependent on Guru and Krishna to chant quality rounds, right? Yeah. Is that we act as if it's all according to us, and we pray as if it's all according to God and to Guru. And there's that mode that we have to actually apply ourselves, and even when we do, we're realizing that we're chanting as a service to our gurus fundamentally. And that's a shift that actually activates mercy, is that I'm not approaching Krishna just because it's me and Krishna. I'm approaching Krishna because I have experienced as somebody who is very dear to Krishna, and because they've given me the name through their books, through their words, face to face, they've given instruction on how to chant the name because it's pleasing to them, under their shelter, under their guidance, I'm chanting. And that activates mercy, right? That actually puts us downstream from mercy. Mercy flows. It flows downstream from those who have it to give and those to those who need to receive it, who are asking for it. So you want to be in a low position actually in bhakti. You want to get nice and low. You don't want to ever be in a top position. And even if you are in a top position, you have to be internally on the lower position. Otherwise, you will fall over because nobody actually is on top except for Krishna. And if you think you're on top, then you get what Brahma or Indra or any devotee gets is like a little wake-up call. And they're demonstrating that in the Leelas of, oh, Indra apparently forgets who Krishna is and just like tries to blast all over Vrindavan because he's teaching us something. It's not that Indra is like, oh, look at that fool. I would never make that mistake. No, it's exactly that. It's that you would make that mistake. As soon as we have some authority, that's why the aphorism is there, is power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, is because that's our false ego. We want to be God. And as soon as we have the capacity to be God in some degree, even like to masquerade and charade as God a little bit, then, stuff happens. And we have to like have a hangover experience of, whoa, what did I just do? And so to avoid that, always stay in the low position, even if it means that's just internally. It's actually the safest place to be, because that's where the mercy is that I'm here in service to actual devotees. I'm here in service to those who are more advanced than myself. I am not an acharya. I'm not a liberated soul. Even if you are a liberated soul, this is the safe place to be. I'm not entitled to anything. I am always subject to the chastisement, correction, and mercy of my guru, and I always want that. And if we chant and serve in that way, then you can serve all the way up to any service. You could be an initiating guru, it doesn't matter, because you're always situated as a devotee. That's actually how the soul is this deep, abiding sense of service. And that mode protects us from the ingress, the entrance of our own false ego, which would prevent us from being a devotee, which would somehow or other sneakily make our own qualifications the center, our own independent self the center once again, and spoil the whole thing. Mm-hmm. So this is why the service attitude and putting devotees first and our gurus first and remembering that is so important. It actually protects us and it increases our taste. Because as Prabhupada says, by serving the servants of the Lord, one gradually gets the quality of such servants. And thus one becomes qualified to hear the glories of God. As soon as that Kartik month ended, or as soon as, even if it was before the end of Kartik, which happened a couple times, my guru had to leave, I could see I came back down to my level because I wasn't in that room. I wasn't in that association. Even if the rest of us got together, I was just at that level, It's actually a thing that you can experience. So if you can't be in the same room, you want to take the Vani, the orders, the instructions, and take that as Prabhupada says, your life and soul. So it's not just like, I see for myself that chanting Hare Krishna is a good idea. That's great. That puts you ahead of 99% of the population. And if you want to be ahead of like a large percent of even of devotees, is that you want to actually see that your chanting and your service is fundamentally in service to your teachers. Actually, Prabhupada says this is a good idea. And I trust Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada is dear to Krishna. So I'm going to like situate myself before I chant to Srila Prabhupada and to maybe to one of his disciples. If you have a relationship with a Diksha Guru or Shiksha Gurus, or your local Sangha, but these devotees are more advanced than me. I trust their guidance on this. I'm going to chant, on their authority. It actually ingratiates Krishna. It actually attracts him because that's his nature. He's attracted by bhakti, and he notices when people have faith and confidence in his devotees, because that's what he wants to do. He wants to serve his devotees. He's interested in serving his devotees. And so, someone can say, well, I don't have a guru. Well, we're all hearing from Srila Prabhupada. And, well, I don't have a guru, face to face. It's like, well, find devotees who are more advanced than you and trust them. They don't have to be pure devotees yet. They don't have to be initiating. They can be just a little more advanced than you, and you can say, well, Krishna, you sent this agent, and I'm trusting that this agent is coming from you somehow or other, and they're saying chant and they're saying serve, and so I respectfully like submit before that, even if it's just internally, even if you're not like putting your head on the ground and saying, oh, Vande Guru Sri Charanadavindam, and singing to them and offering Vyasa Puja and like glorifying them. And maybe they're just like your peer, but in your heart, you're like, yeah, but they brought me to Krishna consciousness. And so I'm chanting because of them. And so Krishna, please accept me. Please see me because they've been practicing longer than I have. And, there's that mood ingratiates Krishna. It's actually a very subtle thing. He sees like, oh, this person can fit. Because the spiritual world is a place where everybody is serving Krishna together. We're not like entering some, weird nirvana where it's like, okay, good, I finally get to banish all these other so just annoying living entities and I could be with God. It's like, no, that's very Kanishta. It's very Kanishta. It's like you and you're like, it's the same, I'm sorry to say, it's the same kind of mentality as like, I get to like go to my 40 virgins in paradise after, it's like very, fanatical, weird. No, that's not what God's about. He's actually surrounded and everyone cooperates. And yeah, there's differences, but everyone is so appreciative of everyone else's service. Even if it's like Krishna's parents don't want to be Krishna's lovers and Krishna's friends don't want to be Krishna's like cows. They're all uniquely qualified for their own position, but they love that Krishna is served in such diverse ways. So that cooperative attitude, that mode, that's the soul's nature. And we can come to that by practicing it, by serving devotees, and by having a sense of being downstream from and receiving the mercy from devotees, that we're chanting because of their authority. We're serving under their shelter. That's what it means to serve under shelter. Is that like, I'm not like some big shot that Krishna should notice my service. Who am I? But my guru's a big shot. I consider him a big shot. I consider my Param Guru a big shot. I'm here because of them. In fact, Srila Prabhupada points out that it's great etiquette. When you come and take shelter of a deity, for example, we pay obeisances. When you pay obeisances, the etiquette is actually just like to before you kind of like Jai Shri Radha Govinda or Jai Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Gauranitai, whoever you're paying obeisances to, is that you actually utter your guru's pranam mantra, or you indicate like, who let you in? Like, why are you here? It's like Krishna is the God of everybody, and if you really want to get close, you should mention like, I'm here because your dear devotee so and so is like showed me some mercy. There's one pastime where Srila Bhakti Siddhanta was often seen when he would take darshan, he'd be at the back of the temple, and the devotees, senior devotees, would say like, Maharaj, please come forward. Like, we would love to have you by the deities. They would honor because he's a very advanced devotee, and they knew it, and that's correct. And he would say, actually, I feel happy back here because I'm with Garuda. And traditionally in Indian temples, Vaishnava temples, there's a Garuda stamba. There's a pillar with Garuda at the back of the temple. Like, if the deities are here and the entrance is here, right after the entrance, there's Garuda looking at the deities. And you come in past him and you take darshan. He would stay right way back here with Garuda because Garuda is a pure devotee. He's a carrier. And he'd say, actually, I feel that if I'm next to Garuda, then the Lord will acknowledge my presence. Now, whether that was his Vaishnava humility or he's trying to teach, I don't know. But the point is there that, on some level, he felt like, who am I to be like asking Krishna to see me? But if I'm next to his pure devotee, then he'll see like, I trust Garuda and I'm here with him. And like, there's that etiquette. And so, you pay obeisances, you can offer pranams to Srila Prabhupada, your guru, and you can offer Vaishnava pranams. You can think like, I'm here because the devotees have engaged me in service. Please recognize me on the strength of your love and appreciation for those devotees. And that really deepens the darshan, actually. You try it out if you haven't already. It deepens kirtan, deepens japa, deepens reading. This is actually a massive life hack. It's a cheat code. Get yourself some downstream action. Get below the devotees. Get like internally at least just this sense of like, I'm here because of them. They let me in. This is my pass, and you'll get closer to Krishna, and that's relevant for me every day. Actually, this verse and the truth it carries is relevant for me every day. Not a day goes by when I don't either like remember that and benefit, or forget and then have to come back to it. Like getting back into my independent ways and thinking I'm just serving Krishna, And then it's like, oh, this is why my japa is so dry right now. I think I'm like just doing this, and I'm like the chanter. I'm making it happen. And Krishna's hearing my great chanting. It's like, no, yeah, that's right. That's really why I'm here, is to just be a servant of my gurus. Okay. And then it starts to become juicy again. So those are some thoughts about hearing from devotees, serving devotees, how it creates ruchi, taste, and how that can manifest in your darshan, in your reading, in your japa kirtan, and how it's not even dependent necessarily on having a diksha guru. It's just a matter of putting yourself downstream, because just like water flows downstream, mercy flows downstream. You want to always be asking for mercy, always be under a devotee, under shelter. And give the example of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta and Garuda, and so many things I said. Hopefully some of it was useful. Hare Krishna. Hopefully I was able to remember my own upline and transmit that. Let's see if anything stood out. Comments, questions, reflections. Now I get to be downline of you and get purified by your Krishna Katha.
I love how you said that get downstream from the devotees, and it's such an interesting thing, because if I'm not doing that, or someone's not doing that, maybe because they want to be noticed, or they want to be acknowledged, or they want to be seen, or have, ego somehow getting involved. But then what you shared, but if you do get downstream of the devotees, Krishna's actually going to notice you more.
Yeah. It's actually paradoxical.
Yeah.
And you won't want it necessarily. Like you won't be like, oh great, I get to be the center, but he will actually notice you more.
Right. He'll notice that humble service.
So it's true, which is why one thing that devotees actually have to deal with is a deep point. Is there's two things I'm going to say about that. I guess let's say the other thing first. So we see like, for example, in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, that there's the pastimes of Madhavendra Puri, who's a predecessor of Lord Chaitanya, but Mahaprabhu has so much love for these pastimes, he recounts them early in the Madhya Lila. And Madhavendra Puri, I mean, he does so many amazing things. He reciprocates with deities in a personal way. They speak to him. He does amazing service. He's actually an incredible devotee. He's the guru of Lord Chaitanya. His disciple Ishvara Puri becomes the spiritual master of Lord Chaitanya. Because Mahaprabhu, just like Krishna accepts a guru, Mahaprabhu accepts a guru. Anyway, in one pastime, Sri Madhavendra Puri comes to the village of Remuna in Orissa province, modern Orissa. Remuna is still there, and there is a deity there called Kirchho Gopinath. At the time, he was just called Gopinath, and he served sweet rice is the local specialty that they serve him. And when Madhavendra Puri came, he took darshan of the deity, and he found out about sweet rice, and he thought, wow, I wonder what it tastes like, because I really want to offer that to my deity, to my Gopal. And then he thought, oh no, I'm thinking about like tasting Krishna's food before he's even tasted it. He thought, actually, like, I've committed an offense. But he didn't really commit an offense. He was just thinking about like he wanted to expand his service profile to his Gopala. And he thought, this is very bad. I'm very fallen. I'm like here thinking about my pleasure. He was very humble. And he thought, better I should go. And he like finished his darshan and left. And that night, the pujari, the servant of Gopinath, had a dream in which Gopinath spoke to them and said, my dear servant, there is somebody here called Madhavendra Puri. Now I've set aside 2 of the cups of sweet rice for him. If you go back on the altar and you look under my form, you will find these 2 cups. I wish you to go and find Madhavendra Puri and tell them this is for him. And the pujari woke up like, oh wow. Okay. And went on the altar and like, oh my God, it's there. And he grabs them and he goes out in the darkness in the middle of the night. He's like, Madhavendra Puri, whoever you are, come out. You are the most fortunate person. Gopinath himself has reciprocated with you. He appeared to me in a dream and told me he set these aside for you. Madhavendra Puri is like, oh my goodness. And so from that day forward, Gopinath was called Kirchho Gopinath, which means the thief. He stole the sweet rice for his devotee. And so Madhavendra Puri became like, jubilant, like ecstatic, and he started to very slowly eat some of this, and he saved a little bit every day, so he would eat it. In fact, he was so ecstatic that he would save the cup, and he eventually ground it up and like was like eating the little cup because it's like
Clay.
this came from Krishna's hand, but he also left immediately after he got it because he thought, I don't want to stay. The talk about this is going to spread. Krishna just showed me a lot of mercy. They're going to think I'm some kind of big shot. I don't want that. But as we see, his glories catch up to him, and everywhere he goes, he's glorified. Mahaprabhu is glorifying him 2 generations later. Is that you can't escape if you actually like have this mood, you'll get so much fame, you get so much attention, even if you don't want it. The other thing is that as devotees who are like still attached to fame and name and attention, one thing you can say is that, hey, if you really want that, try to serve sincerely because it'll come. But you also have to watch out because it will come, and it can be Maya. Eventually, it's like you'll get recognized for your service. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur talks about this in the Madhurya Kadambini. It's called Tarangarangini. It's an anartha of riding the wave, literally riding the wave of bhakti. Bhakti creates these waves of consequence, and some of the consequences that you'll get attention, you'll become expert in some service, and if you become attached to like the consequence of bhakti rather than bhakti itself, you can kind of like sit on your laurels, rest on your laurels, right? It's that expression in English. It's like, all right, I'm good now. Like I did that, and for the rest of your life, you could just be like, I'm the devotee who did that, and it's actually a trap, and you can still be dear to Krishna, but it can slow you down. It's like, yeah, like I met Srila Prabhupada and I did service, and yeah, but are you chanting Hare Krishna anymore? No, but I did that. It's like you're very dear to Krishna, but it's also like you can trap yourself, or I had that amazing experience and Krishna actually spoke to me, and so therefore I'm good, and on some level that can actually become a thing, so got to watch out for that because the fame will come. Even externally, it'll come because Krishna reciprocates with sincere service, and as you become expert in some field of bhakti, deity worship, japa, kirtan, you'll get attention. So you find the most advanced devotees, even though they are acharyas of at least 1 or 2 services, if you try and tell them that, they're like, I mean, come on, Prabhu, I'm really a servant. I'm your servant. I'm everyone's servant. I'm my guru's servant. They do not let that mode of thank you for recognizing my excellence come in, because it's poison. It just slows down your taste, slows down your service. So even for like new devotees, you want to watch out for that. That if you're like relishing being the center of attention, well, at least you're in the game, but it's not going to work for you long term. So yeah, but it takes time to get detached from fame. So it doesn't all happen at once. But you got to watch out because yeah, you'll lose your taste, and that sucks. I got to tell you, chanting without taste, it's a lot better than not chanting, but we want to be always in that mode of like, I need you, Krishna. I need you, Gurudev. Yeah. But the fame comes, whether you want it or not. More reflections.
I really appreciated you made a comment, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Looking at all the things or reading all the Shastra that we've been reading and wondering why do these otherwise really great demigods and stuff do these things to Krishna. That's the lesson. That made a lot of sense when you said it that way, is that the readings are teaching the lesson that once you gain power, if you lose control and get obnoxious with it, that happens even to the best of people. So that was
Yeah.
a takeaway.
Thank you. Yeah, Jiva Goswami points out that it's them teaching a lesson. And it's Leela. He points out that it's not necessarily that we should think like, oh, Indra really fell down hard. Ooh, that's tough for him. Not necessarily. It may have just been like under the influence of Leela Shakti. He's able to see Krishna in Vrindavan. He's a devotee. And Indra's not a pure devotee. He has some attachments, but he's remarkably advanced devotee still. So it's between him and Krishna actually what was really in his heart and how much is just the Leela, the pastimes. But definitely for us, and this is actually a very important point, is that when we're reading Shastra, like entry level reading Shastra is like, oh, this is here for me to find fault with everyone else and point the finger and think like, I'm glad I'm not like them. It's very, fanatical to be like, and we've seen this in any tradition. You can see this, like people read a holy book and they become all of a sudden so zealous and so holier than thou because they feel like this is actually God telling them that they're awesome and everyone else has a problem, right? And it's just so perfect for the false ego. They get so absolutely empowered to be a Kanishta Adhikari, like a very low level devotee who doesn't have any reason to become more advanced because they're convinced themselves like this is actually for everyone else. It's not for me. I'm already good. I'm the Acharya. I'm the one who actually gets to tell everybody, don't do these things. But actually, it's the opposite. Krishna is speaking directly to us. He's not telling us about how Indra had this problem because we're supposed to like point the finger at Indra. We're supposed to be like, okay, so wow, this is for me. Like I can see how I could do that, or I'm already doing that to some degree, and it's keeping me from Krishna. And that attitude is actually a very advanced attitude. That attitude extracts the essence from the lessons and also sees like Indra, Brahma, they're already great devotees. Who am I to judge them? Which is actually true. They're actually very advanced devotees. And we can see in Vrindavan, the residents of Vrindavan, they actually pray to demigods, but they always pray to demigods, please help me to advance in my service to Krishna. Like we just heard in the Krishna book that the gopis are like, my dear, Katyayani, like I really want Krishna as a husband. I really want to serve him in that way. They're not like, dear Durga Devi, Mahashakti, give me like wonderful husbands so I can enjoy in this world, which is what everyone in Bengal does, for example. Like they just worship, all the Shaktis just worship Devi for, she can give you like all this stuff. Name, fame, sex, money, life, like, no, it's like, I actually want Krishna. But the center of it is that they actually see like, these lessons are for me. And even if some devotee makes a mistake and there's a lesson in that, it's actually between them and Krishna, what's happening for them. But for me, I actually can make that mistake myself, or I already am, or I already have at some lifetime. And so that's a very safe place to be internally. And that's a way we can really extract a lot from Shastra. Otherwise, it can be a, I kind of painted the extreme picture of, oh yeah, your ego becomes super, super enlivened by reading Shastra. There's like degrees in between where it's, how much am I really receiving from this Shastra? But actually, Krishna is speaking to us directly always. It's one of the magical things he can do. Just like he can sit in the middle of a bunch of boys in a picnic and face all of them. If you read Srimad Bhagavatam together, he's speaking to all of us individually at the same time. Just as he was speaking to Parikshit through Shukadev and the sages in Naimisharni through Sutta Goswami, they're all hearing at the same time and they're all getting purified. Indra's getting purified and Brahma's getting purified. But what's really on my plate is, what does Krishna want me to learn here? Right? Like what actually relates to this jiva? What am I supposed to like look at closely here? And you'll know. You can feel it. Hare Krishna. Any more reflections?
Yeah, I love the idea of mercy flowing downstream. It's just like, yeah, I want to be at the bottom of that waterfall.
Yeah,
like
you do, right?
That's where I want to hang out. But yeah, no, it's really, he talks about like Lord Chaitanya. Even Lord Chaitanya was like, I want to, what was it? Chant, remember, like Lord Vishnu, right? Like he's like, I want to chant Lord Vishnu's name. Like even Lord Mahaprabhu is like, I still have service to do, right? Like to,
yeah.
It's just like, wow, like, okay, like, and like there's always like this, like, yeah, I guess like my one question is like, or clarification. He's like in the purport, he says the Lord is more pleased when he sees that his servants are properly respected, because such servants risk everything for the service of the Lord, and so are very dear to the Lord. The Lord declares in the Bhagavad Gita that no one is dearer to me than one who risks everything to preach his glory.
Yeah.
So the risk everything, that's the part I'm trying to like, I think I understand, but it's like, it's basically, he's not talking just like materially risking everything, right? Like, it's like, oh, I'm risking not enjoying the material. What is that? Is that what he's talking about? Is there something more to that? Like, risk everything.
I could say that the idea of like, like let's say you're at a gambling table in a casino,
right?
And then you divest. You're like, you know what? I'm done. I'm cashing my chips. I'm done with this game. I leave. That's like leaving the material world. You're done playing the game.
Yeah.
You're done trying to be the boss. And any pure devotee, by definition, is done with that whole game, right? And it's just Krishna service. And so you could say, like, one who risks everything. There's a way in which, for all of us who are trying to surrender to Krishna more, we're gambling on Krishna. We're actually saying, I'm done playing with trying to be God. I'm actually going to like try to gamble on surrender. Like, I'm going to double down on Krishna today. I'm going to see, like, will he come through this time? And so for us, in the process of becoming pure devotees, who are still attached to, Maya and being the boss and stuff, risking means risking, like, what if I don't do that thing that I know is not good for me, and I just try to surrender a little more, and doing that more and more and more, and that ingratiates you, makes you more dear to Krishna. However, what's also true is, even among those who are already fully liberated and no longer have any attachment to Maya,
Right.
somebody who's taking the spiritual risk of actually going out there and helping people and propagating Krishna's glories, when they could just be like Srila Prabhupada. Maybe risk is a bit of an interesting word, but Srila Prabhupada, like, he could have stayed in Vrindavan.
Right.
He was in geographic Vrindavan. He was in Vrindavan in his heart. We have testimony from those who were with him. He was, at that time, already a very advanced devotee with a full-fledged relationship with Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. He was a sannyasi. He had every reason not to come. And still, he knew this would really please my guru. And this, he also thought, we could read in his writings, he felt for us. He really felt for those who don't have that privilege of even a little bit of entrance into bhakti. And he thought, they're never going to get it unless someone takes a chance, right? And it was a chance.
Yeah.
He thought, like, who's going to even listen to me? He steps into America in the middle of the sexual revolution. He's like, oh my God, Krishna, you need to help me. Like, I don't know how they can hear the message, please. But he's thinking, like, what can be done for these people? That's a risk, because it's his life. He had 2 heart attacks on the way, And so we're not going to be Srila Prabhupada. But we should remember what he did. And we should also understand that anybody who's taking any risk, putting any of their life energy trying to spread Krishna consciousness, automatically gets the attention of Krishna, right? That's actually our whole parampara. That's actually, like, you could talk at every generation. Narada Muni tells Vyasadeva in the 5th chapter of the 1st canto, and Vyasadeva, like, oh, you're right. I need to, like, glorify Krishna in the form of Bhagavatam, because Narada Muni told him to do it. And in fact, that service to Narada Muni gives him back his taste. And Narada Muni himself talks about how his service to the devotees gave him taste, and he became a devotee by that. So that's true for your bhajan. It's also true that if you try to propagate Krishna consciousness, you do it under the shelter of those who came before you, like Srila Prabhupada wants that. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta wants that. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Gaura Kishore Das Babaji, they're all, like, at every generation, there's devotees who are cheering you on, like, empowering you, because that is what Mahaprabhu wants. Every town and village. So if you try to, like, okay, in this tiny corner of the universe, on this street corner, I'm gonna, like, set up a little book, what's it called? Those things called little free library. Those little free libraries, and I'm gonna, like, set one up on my lawn, and I'm gonna put Prabhupada's books there, and, like, that's my contribution to the Sankirtan movement. You just up-leveled because you've taken a risk. You could have done anything with that time. You could even chant Hare Krishna with that time. But, or in addition to chanting Hare Krishna, you're supporting someone else to chant Hare Krishna, because they're going to be walking along, minding their own business, thinking, I'm God. And here's, oh, this is a cool little book. And next thing they know, blink, and now they're chanting Hare Krishna. And it's a very powerful thing. And it really attracts Krishna's attention. So in that sense, it's a risk, because you never know what's going to happen. Maybe they'll take the Krishna consciousness. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll appreciate you. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll come and get so much benefit, and they'll turn around and leave. And they'll stab you in the back on the way out. Maybe that'll happen. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's like, you do it anyway. And if somebody does that for the conditioned souls, Krishna really pays attention to that person. It really ingratiates you. So at that level also, there's a way in which you can say that Prabhupada is talking about that kind of risk.
Yeah.
It is a risk to preach. It is like, I could just be with Krishna.
Right. Like, I was thinking, it's like the advanced devotees' risk is very different than my risk. Like in terms of, like, like they've already surpassed the risks that I'm concerned of.
Right. Yeah. Like Prahlad Maharaj says,
Yeah.
I'm not actually worried for myself because I'm diving deeper and deeper
Yeah.
into the ocean of your glories, but I feel bad for those who are Maya Sukaya Bottom Udvahato. They're turned away from you because of the burden of Maya.
Right.
I feel bad for them.
Right.
Therefore, I want to live in the towns and villages, not in the mountains, because that's where everyone is. He says that because Prahlad is in that same mood.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're like, what's at stake for them isn't falling back into the material ocean. It's like deepening their relationship with Krishna. And actually, some devotees, their service to the universe, like Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, is mainly to sit in one place and chant like nonstop.
Right.
And that's also a significant service, and they're qualified to do it. However, as our acharyas point out, almost nobody is without coming to the stage of trying to share Krishna consciousness, because our conditioning is too strong. So don't kid yourself. Even if you want, if you want to like be able to come to the stage of chanting all day, you have to engage in the Sankirtan movement, because that'll give you the qualification. That'll shine Krishna's light on you so brightly you'll be able to sit and chant, even if it's just like on Kartik or Ekadashi or something, Yeah, it's a good question. There's a lot in that. Servants risk everything. So we can see, therefore, like why invoking the mercy of the servants of Krishna empowers our chanting. Is that if Krishna notices them, then, and we're here under them, it's like, love me, love my dog. Krishna respects that. Okay, like Krishna, he thought before he broke down those Tamala Arjuna trees, he thought Narada Muni cursed the sons of Kuvera. Narada Muni is my dear devotee. Therefore, I'm gonna reciprocate with him because he said they're gonna see me. The acharyas explained, for their own sake, Krishna wasn't necessarily interested in giving his darshan, but because Narada Muni said it's gonna happen, Krishna's like, it's gonna happen because Narada Muni said so, right? Can't make his words false. I love him. He's my devotee. He's my pure devotee. They're in. And he gives them his darshan. So that's why it's a cursed blessing, because Narada Muni says you're cursed, but he's actually like blessing him because he's really just giving him Krishna. So we want that. We want to be like, please, my guru says I can practice bhakti. Let me in. And yeah, magically it works. So, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Vajragopa Trivishta Kripasantu Vyevacha. Patisanam Bhavibhyo. Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, which means the unlimited Anantakoti, unlimited thousands of trees of the Vaishnava forest, as if all the devotees are desire trees. Ki jai.
All right, well,
Very on point. Have a great day, everyone. Oh, there's something in chat. Hold on. It says thank you. Got it.
Thank you so
Okay.
much. I have to go
Jai.
to PT now. Have a great weekend. Hare Krishna.